Number 1, I have a sore throat. Number 2, this is a re-upload of a previous video. While experts have told me that I could simply unprivate the previous video, I have instead opted to go for the absolute bulletproof version of bringing in a disclaimer at the very beginning. And the disclaimer is, everything said in this video is alleged. It is my own personal opinion that I sincerely and honestly hold based on evidence that I have seen. My intention for this video is to protect young, vulnerable individuals. This hobbit-like creature keeps haunting me. Wherever I go, Jake Munro seems to follow. I don't follow him, I don't look him up, and yet there he is. How can we exorcise him from the social media consciousness? How can we get rid of him? I want to know. The snake-like creature from the depths below has been covered on this channel before. I made a video regarding his views on, quote, disciplining children and animals, statements which he's never retracted, and I also talked in a space that I uploaded to YouTube of him being the blight of existence to any woman who's unfortunate enough to enter a relationship with him. So what has the walking short man syndrome done now? I urge you to avoid Munro at all costs. Jake Munro is someone who became popular around the time of the cyberpunk-style self-deletion squad had been released on YouTube, roasting wannabe goths and emos as well as the odd metal cover and his band project Munro, and has obviously heavily inflated his ego with the reputation that comes with that. We had Jake Munro play the studio bar at Comedia Brighton on Tuesday 9th of November 2021, when things started to open up again after the with Eyes of Nocturne and Gaia. I had them play alongside Eyes of Nocturne because Jake knew some of the members and I thought it would benefit the gig's success. What looked to be a successful night for the Paralytic Promotions, it took a degrading turn when Jake Munro, a friend of mine who shall not be named for her safety, in front of witnesses, band members of both his project, Eyes of Nocturne, and the one he poses to, his photographer. As a result, he has been blacklisted and he'll never play a show in Brighton again under Paralytic Promotions, and I urge that promoters and viewers do the same to keep the scene safe. I ask this now because he's released new music, as shown below, and is very likely to be touring again soon. Live music is a safe space and shall not be ruined by these toxic posing pervs who think they have a right to everything just because they got a little famous on YouTube. P.S. Eyes of Nocturne are not the ones to blame. In fact, they were the ones that blew the whistle to me and I thank them for it. Jake being inappropriate around women? Where have I heard that one before?
I lost so many people because either they couldn't stand being around him, or he would flirt with them and be inappropriate and make them uncomfortable, which is something that went on throughout our entire relationship. I couldn't have female friends. He couldn't be trusted around my female friends. I couldn't have female friends. He couldn't be trusted around my female friends. And I found out about things I didn't even know about after the breakup of female friends that I thought would be safe. There were some girls that I was friends with that I thought would be safe from him. No. Fucking turns out he would touch people inappropriately and shit, and they were like, what are you doing? I caught him times being inappropriate with people. I couldn't have female friends because of him. Especially if he was drunk, he was always way too touchy-feely with people, with girls whenever he was drunk, you know, I'm not saying he went up and grabbed or anything, but just unnecessary, standing talking to someone at the bar and he'd have to have his hand on their shoulder or on their waist or what, when there was no need. It was random girls we didn't know. He was so flirty and touchy-feely, so I didn't like going out places because of that.
Yeah, this was already discussed in a video that his ex made in response to a video he made lying about her and their relationship. Before I go into this any deeper, I want to knock out of the park the rebuttal that some people might use, saying, well, he could have been drunk on those occasions. She said that he did it a lot when he was drunk, so maybe at this concert he was drunk as well. Being intoxicated is not an excuse. Alcohol is not a magical potion that alters your entire personality and way of behaving. It lowers your inhibitions. Yes, alcohol does change certain things about your neurochemistry. For example, it can trigger anxiety or depression in somebody, or worsen anxiety and depression in existing sufferers. But it doesn't make you a completely different person. If you are, when sober, a completely respectable person who understands boundaries, just because you have a drink or two, it doesn't mean it justifies you suddenly touching other people. And if, by some miracle of neurochemistry that we have yet to discover, alcohol is a Jekyll and Hyde potion for you and changes you completely, maybe you should rethink drinking. You should think about drinking. If you are aware that drinking has a certain effect on you around other people, you should choose not to drink. You can tell when other people are uncomfortable whether you are sober or intoxicated. You don't suddenly become blind or deaf when drunk. Sure, you're slowed down, you might be a bit dazed, but you can tell. And I can assume that this was also done when he wasn't intoxicated, because in the video, his ex states, especially when he was drunk. So that means at other times he was sober when doing this. Jake is a near 32-year-old individual if famous birthdays can be believed. But in case no one has ever taught him the obvious, I'll address you directly, Jake. You do not touch people without their consent. One would assume that an intelligent individual like yourself, no, I can't even do it, I can't even pretend to be nice or lie, I think it's stupid. One would assume that an individual with a relatively functioning brain capacity to be able to get up in the morning and dress yourself and get food ready and do normal functioning daily tasks would also understand social interaction. Really basic human interaction that I understood from the age of 4. Apparently you haven't quite got that yet. It's either that or it's far more sinister than that. I think it might be a mix of both. You know exactly what you are doing is wrong, but you have an ego and you feel entitled to women. You feel entitled to control women. And for anybody who doubts what I'm saying, you can go back on my previous videos and watch those, or you could go and watch the video by his ex. I will link that in the description. Jake clearly has complexes about masculinity and thinking that controlling women is how he gains masculinity, is what makes him a man, being able to possess a woman. This makes me extremely concerned for fans of him and his music, considering that he is releasing new music as of last month. I know that a lot of his fans are young, and I'm worried as to what would happen if they were left alone with him. Heck, they don't even have to be left alone. As the previous post stated, there were witnesses to this. And that's what makes it so weird for me and so creepy. There were other people around and he was comfortable enough to do this to a woman in plain view of other people. He thought he was entitled to that woman. He thought he was entitled to do that to a woman. And he saw nothing wrong with it. He is co-parenting a child, a young boy. This is concerning, how he feels he can possess other people, he's entitled to other people, and he will act inappropriately towards other people in plain view of everyone seeing nothing wrong with it. He should not be looked up to. He should not have young fans, especially girls, looking up to him. At best, he's a person who drinks and doesn't consider the effects his drinking has on other people, and at worst, he just doesn't care and feels entitled to every woman that he takes a fancy to. He's either ridiculously irresponsible and therefore should not be a role model or around young girls, or he's actively a creep and therefore shouldn't be a role model or around young girls. Take your pick, really. That's all I wanted to say in this video. I wanted to raise awareness about these allegations and give you some evidence that also support these allegations pointing to be true. Gigs and music scenes should be safe for both fans and for performers. It should not be a place where people are made to feel uncomfortable or have their boundaries pushed. If you are ever at a venue and something like this happens to you, do not hesitate to go up to security. It's their job to make sure that you are having a good time and that you are safe. Make no mistake, this behaviour is not tolerated and Eyes of Nocturne are not an abnormality. There are so many different artists and bands that will back you up and support your right to be safe in their concert venues. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.